Hello, how are you?
Ooh, wow, your voice came in wonderfully on this. Nice.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. Did you get the photos I sent of our accidental pigeons?
Should
Oh,
see it pop up here in a second. So technically, you'll be our first guest on this, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not even sure what the outcome of this final podcast is gonna look like. Still playing around with a few ideas. But after hearing your story, I was like, we gotta record some stories. I have it broken down into four little sections, right? Guest information, just so we know who you are and where you're from. Pet info, okay? In this case, we just talk about, yeah, just about the bird. And then browns, like how you found browns kind of thing. And then community, how do you share this experience with other people? So that's the little four areas. So the under the guest info, you could just tell me your name and like what state you're in. That would be perfect.
my name is Joseph Elkins. We live in the southern part of Alabama, almost on the border with Florida.
Beautiful. And the animal of choice for this conversation are
Pigeons.
pigeons. And out of your pigeons, do you have any names for your pigeons?
The one that we determined to be the leader of the group, we named Walter Pigeon. You have to be of a certain age to get the joke.
What's the is that like an old
Well,
show or
Walter
something?
Pigeon was a famous actor in the 40s and 50s.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Maybe even into the 60s, I guess. You can Google it. Now, his last name was spelled with a D, Idgeon.
Okay.
People of a certain age think it's very funny that we named our pigeon Walter.
I love the name Walter. Mhm.
Walter is the one with the white on his wings, and
Oh,
the
okay.
and the gray one that I also sent you a photo of is appears to be his mate.
Mm.
Uh, and so my wife named her Isabella.
Isabella.
Yeah. The others, I have a hard time telling them apart. We don't have names for them yet.
Why Isabella? Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
That's my daughter's middle name. It's Isabella.
Oh, okay.
It means God's promise. Yeah,
That's
I always thought it just meant like a beautiful island, like Isa, or Bella, but it means God's promise. So Walter and Isabella.
yeah.
And then when it comes to the Browns products that you use, what specific food are you using to feed them?
We're feeding them Brown's Bird Lovers Blend, Dove, Pigeon, and Quail Blend.
Cool. So when we get into the pet info, I think here what I'm just going to do is I have four questions. I'll just run through them real quick and then I'll just let you share your story. Let's look for maybe three things that you love about these birds, like a funny anecdote or story, or give you the story how you how they adopted you, as you said before. And then, do you consider them family, or do you consider them more like little friends that come around? And then also, like, how often do you feed them? If we could tackle those four in a story, that'd be cool.
It's an interesting question because they have personalities. And I told you that Walter seems to be the leader of the group. And when they arrive expecting their Brown's Pigeon Blend, if it's not in the bowl, or if I don't immediately start filling the bowl, Walter will fly over to wherever I am and land there on the grass and look at me like, "What's taking you so long?" Isabella does the same thing. The others, they hang out on the roof waiting for the food bowl to get filled.
That's awesome. They do have personalities.
We have when one of the reasons we live here is so that we can have this little menagerie of animals, all of which are pets, miniature potbelly pigs and Julian pigs and Indian runner ducks and Muscovy ducks and different breeds of geese and rabbits and all of these creatures. And they all have personalities, even the ducks. And they all have names, of course.
How in the world did you build this relationship with these pigeons?
I call these our accidental pigeons. And the story is this. We live in a very rural area. And even when I go down to the road to the mailbox, I can't see another house in either direction. But one of our neighbors who lives on the same road, good distance from us, was a bird enthusiast and
Mhm.
have all of these exotic birds, exotic chickens of various breeds. And she even had an emu and
What?
some pigeons and and a big aviary in the back of her house. And she moved. And I guess when she moved, 6 of the pigeons escaped the moving van,
Mhm.
uh, or being put in the van, however, whatever happened. Anyhow, they arrived at our house and took up residence under the eaves of the house. I think I sent you a photo of that.
Mhm.
And I called her and said, "Your birds are here. I think these are your birds." And she wanted to come and get them, but it wasn't practical. So we decided we need to start feeding these birds since they decided that they were going to live here. And initially, we fed them some of what we feed the ducks. But my wife wants all of her animals to be healthy.
Mhm.
And she went on these various pigeon forums and Your Food, Brown's Pigeon Blend. I got mentioned a couple of times, and turns out Chewy sells it. We added it to our Chewy order,
Mm.
uh, auto ship. And we also built them a house on the top of a 12-foot pole and a little feeding station on the pole about 5 feet from the ground. And so I don't know if we adopted the birds or birds adopted us, but they come here 3 times a day.
Mm.
And we know they're coming because we have a big pond out in front of our house. And when they fly in, they first make 2 circles of the pond and then come and land on the roof of our house and wait for us to fill their bowl. And then they come marching down the roof, fly off the edge of the roof over to the food bowl. Then they fly off. I don't know where they go, but we can pretty much count on them being here 3 times a day. And the lead pigeon, we call Walter, is the most friendly
It's
and assertive in that I don't promptly fill their food bowl. He'll come looking for me and land right in front of my feet and look at me and as if to say, "Where's my lunch?" We have this relationship with these birds and we think they're fascinating. And while they usually fly as a group, sometimes Walter will arrive alone and he will sit on top of the roof and wait for the others to arrive. It might take 2 hours and he'll just sit there
oh, wow.
and the others will finally arrive. And when they do, then it's time to feed them. All been fed and had fresh water and so on. They depart. But before they leave our property, they make 2 circles of the pond and then take off in whatever direction they choose to go in. As I said, I don't know where they go, but they always come back.
Be funny if you had a drone to follow them
I
or
wish.
something. You find out that they're stopping at 3 other houses.
They very well could be. I don't know. It's very interesting. They have personalities and they're very entertaining and they certainly love your food. Uh, Now we
Cool.
do augment it with we pound some peanuts into smaller pieces and throw that in there with the Brown's blend, and they seem to really like that.
Nice. Nice. And, like, when your wife was looking for that food, what was she solving for? Was she just looking for something specific for them? Or was
She wanted information about pigeons and how to care for them. What do they eat? What kind of house do they need? That kind of thing.
okay.
The house that we got is I think it's a purple martin house, but they don't necessarily spend the night here.
Mhm.
So this is part of the current mystery. Where do they go? Where do they overnight? But they always come back.
That's cool. Now, you said that the birdhouse is 12 feet in the air.
Yeah.
That seems really tall. What was the reasoning for putting it up so high?
I Sharon must have read that on a pigeon forum somewhere. I don't know. That was a recommendation, and so we got a big pole and
Mhm.
I mounted it on the top of the pole.
That's cool. That's cool. Sounds like a fun project. And then, is she part of just a community when it comes to the birds online, or do you guys share this experience with like other neighbors, or is it just something that between the two of you and these birds?
We don't have any close neighbors, and when our friends come by, we tell them about the birds, and everybody is already familiar with our the rest of our menagerie. But we're not in a pigeon club or anything like that.
Cool. Cool. This is awesome. I You told me this story the other day, and I was just like, oh man, we gotta document this. This is too cool. And I think it's one of those kind of little heartwarming stories that people just will just enjoy to hear, especially if you have any history with pigeons, but any kind of, you know, birding or wildlife or dealing with wild birds. And so I really appreciate you reaching out to us, and then we were able to do something.
Well, if anybody that hears the story via you has any advice for us about pigeons, we'd like to hear it.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for your time. Loved your story.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, down in Alabama near the Florida line, Joseph's got some pigeons flying in a straight line. From the roof to the pond, they circle round twice, come landing on his porch like they're taking his advice. There's Walter the leader with Isabella in tow. They fly through the sky, putting on quite the show. When the day is sunny, or when it starts to rain, they're waiting for Joseph to bring them their grain. Brown's got a mix that they just can't resist. Popcorn and millet oats, what a twist. Doves and quail too, they all gather around when that bird lover's blood hits the ground. It's Brown's bird lover's blood, best seed you'll find. For pigeons, doves and quail, it's one of a kind. No colors, no fake stuff, just pure and right. They come flying back home for a tasty bite. Brown's bird lover's blood keeps them coming around. From morning till evening, it's the best in town. Feeding all our feathered friends from the sky to the ground. With big Brown's bird lover's blood, they'll always stick around. Joseph and Sharon, they got it figured out. Walter lets them know when it's time to shout. He's on that roof with a look in his eye, saying, fill my bowl and I'll take to the sky. He's a canary seed, oh what a blend, keeps those pigeons coming back again and again. The family now with feathers so bright, and Brown's bird lovers blunt is their favorite bite. Joseph sitting on the porch with Sharon by his side, watching Walter and his crew taking that glide. He cares for them like they're his own, with that special blend, their home's never alone. He built them a house up on a pole, watching them circle feeds his soul. They may leave at night, but they always come back for that blend of love in Joseph's sass. It's Brown's bird lover's blood, best seed you'll find. For pigeons, doves and quail, it's one of a kind. No colors, no fake stuff, just pure and right. They come flying back home for a tasty bite. Brown's bird lover's blood keeps them coming around. From morning till evening, it's the best in town. Feeding all our feathered friends from the sky to the ground. With big Brown's bird lover's blood, they'll always stick around. So if you got some pigeons or a quail or two, get you some Browns, they'll be thanking you. Down in Alabama where the skies are blue, Joseph birds keep singing about Browns and